Derek Jeter. Is he one of the most overrated baseball players ever? I have no idea because I've never seen him play, but that's what we're going to find out today. The only reason I know Derek Jeter is because I've heard his name in like rap songs. He's in like Quoted a Friend. He's on like his latest album. I've heard him in that. When I first played MLB The Show, you were immediately given a Derek Jeter legend card. Stuff like that. Like I've heard his name in passing quite a few times, even before I started getting involved in baseball. I've heard the name Derek Jeter. But is he overrated? Why is he so famous if he's overrated? That's what we're going to find out, guys. The hard-hitting stuff might be controversial for some of you if you are Jeter fans. Do subscribe to my channel, give the video a like, comment down below. Let's jump straight into this. Let's go.
Derek Jeter is one of the best, most famous, and respected players of his era. He also may be the most overrated. He was once selected to start an All-Star game while being the second worst qualified shortstop in his own league. He won the Gold Glove while being the second worst defensive shortstop in baseball twice. He's made some of the best, most iconic defensive plays in baseball history, but according to defensive metrics, he's literally the worst defensive player of all time.
What?
He's praised for having a spotless reputation while playing in the most ruthless media market in the world. But he's also had a decades-long beef with superstar teammate Alex Rodriguez, reportedly told the Yankees to trade a different teammate because they fought each other. Another teammate literally robbed him. He was caught cheating in the playoffs. His own owner said he needed to stop partying as much and focus more on championships, and his own general manager told him to his face there were at least 4 shortstops he'd rather have on the team than him. After he retired, Jeter became CEO of the Marlins. He traded the team's best players, fired former players, fired the president, fired the mascot, and reportedly even fired a scout who was in the hospital with cancer. His reputation in Miami was so bad that after a bizarre public beef, Marlins superfan Marlins Man called Derek Jeter a quote, virgin. But how did he achieve such a spotless reputation? Why do defensive metrics rank Derek Jeter as the worst defensive player in history? And due to recent decisions, why Derek Jeter could soon be out of Miami for good.
Let's go. Baseball doesn't exist. He's quieting down his intros as well a little bit. Things you love to see. What a YouTube
Babe
channel
Ruth was
this
once
is, by the way.
suspended for punching an umpire in the face. While teammates him and Lou Gehrig hated each other and didn't talk for years. Mickey Mantle admits to hooking up with a woman during a game in Yankee Stadium. He was even temporarily banned from baseball in the 80s, and him and Joe DiMaggio had a feud that apparently lasted until they died. Despite this,
Creepy
they all
smile.
maintained a spotless public image. They weren't just Hall of Famers, they were American icons, helping make the Yankees the most lucrative franchise in American sports. But when Derek Jeter was drafted, the Yankees sucked and were going through the darkest, most scandal-filled era of their history, in large part due to them being owned by a crazy person. During this era, the Yankees had missed the playoffs 13 years in a row. They constantly signed big-name players in an attempt to create the next Yankees icon, but every time they did, they ended up leaving in the middle of a massive controversy caused by Steinbrenner himself, and he would literally be banned from baseball for doing this. During a 17-year stretch, he fired his manager 19 times, had 15 different pitching coaches, and 13 different general managers. Goose Gossage was one of the best closers of his era, but once missed 3 months with a broken hand after punching a teammate in the shower. He hated Steinbrenner so much, he refused to resign and called him, quote, the fat man upstairs. Steinbrenner once benched Don Mattingly just because he refused to cut his mullet. Mattingly once set a record by hitting a home run in 8 straight games while having a sprained wrist. Steinbrenner was not impressed and told the media the only reason he had a sprained wrist in the first place was because he was selfish and only cared about individual accolades. The Yankees signed Dave Winfield to the biggest contract in baseball. 2 years later, he was arrested for animal cruelty after he accidentally killed a seagull with a baseball during warm-ups. Fans threw rubber baseballs at him, and an ambulance came and sent the seagull to the hospital for a full autopsy. After the
What? He got banned for accidentally killing a seagull in a warm-up. He didn't mean to do it. Did he get he said he got arrested? Yo, that's wild. What is going on there?
Game, he was literally arrested. This isn't why Steinbrenner hated him. He hated him because when he signed Winfield, he read the contract.
I'm all for not being cruel to animals, but come on. Come on now. Let's calm down a little here.
Wrong and thought it was for $16 million when it was actually for $23 million. Steinbrenner paid a gambler $150,000 to dig up dirt on Winfield, his own player, to try to get out of paying his full salary. Steinbrenner was caught and literally banned from baseball for doing this. These players all had the potential to be the next, quote, Yankees legend, but because of Steinbrenner, their public image was damaged and large parts of their own fan base resented them. But when Steinbrenner was reinstated in 1993, Derek Jeter had just been drafted. He never won an MVP, was voted most overrated player in baseball by players, and wasn't even the best shortstop on his own team. But he became the first Yankee to reach American icon status since Mickey Mantle. How did this happen? Nobody had a more perfect start to their career than Derek Jeter. He won Rookie of the Year and a World Series in his first season.
Not bad.
In his first 5 seasons, he won 4 World Series, had the most hits in baseball, made 3 All-Star teams, won a World Series MVP, a All-Star Game MVP, and had already dated Mariah Carey. As soon as he became their starting shortstop, the Yankees went from missing the playoffs 13 years in a row to winning 4 World Series in 5 years. He was the face of one of the best dynasties in baseball history, was on Seinfeld, in commercials, and on Saturday Night Live. Derek Jeter was untouchable. He was in the media 24/7, but still kept a spotless reputation during an era where basically nobody else in baseball did. But despite popular belief, Jeter's career had plenty of drama.
What's up, guys? Quick little break in the video just to let you know I've got another YouTube channel which is just about to start tomorrow. It's called The Curious Brit. Now, on this channel, it's going to be a bit different here. This channel is going to remain as an American Reacts channel. Like, we're just going to watch American sports mainly and some American reactions. The Curious Brit's going to be more worldwide. So if you are interested in learning more about the world alongside me, go and check out that channel. Go show some love. Go and be one of the first subscribers over there. Nice one. First video tomorrow. Peace.
After just 2 years of not winning a World Series, Steinbrenner was already getting impatient and told the media Jeter was partying too much and not focused on winning. This turned into a national story, but unlike past Yankees, this bad press actually helped Jeter's reputation. He downplayed it completely. Tabloids who love bashing Yankee players told him to, quote, party on, and Steinbrenner and Jeter capitalized on the bad press by appearing in a Visa commercial that turned the bad blood between the two into a joke.
Smart.
Dancing.
Derek, we are running late.
Very smart.
In 1999, his teammate Chad Curtis told the media Jeter didn't know how to play the game because he was joking around with Alex Rodriguez while their teams were in a bench-clearing brawl. Curtis also annoyed Jeter by constantly trying to get him to go to church with him, even though Jeter kept telling him no. That offseason, Jeter was so annoyed, he reportedly told the Yankees front office they should get rid of Curtis altogether, and Jeter had so much power, they did. Curtis also got into a fight with a teammate for playing music with curse words, destroyed the team's adult videos, and ended up going to prison for very serious and creepy crimes. So to be fair, Jeter probably wasn't the only one who wanted him gone. Jeter also beefed with teammate and former best friend Alex Rodriguez. Their friendship went bad after A-Rod told the media Jeter was surrounded with good players and, quote, never had to be a leader. A-Rod was constantly involved with scandals. Jeter tried to hide it, but he resented him for it. During this famous play, he was seen staring daggers at A-Rod after they missed a pop-up, which caused the Yankees front office to beg Jeter to repair their friendship. And when CNBC ambushed them with a surprise joint interview, it resulted in one of the most awkward interactions ever caught on camera.
Since you both hung up the jerseys, you guys are friends now? Is that what's going on?
Shortstop third base is exactly how we were back in the day.
Yeah. The press made a little thing about the back and forth between you two. Was that real or serious ever? Show?
This interview's going all type of places.
Well, that
I haven't seen him in a while.
channel.
Jeter was reportedly, quote, beside himself angry that this interview ever happened. A-Rod said that media members like Mike Lupica treated Jeter like a god while they portrayed A-Rod as a, quote, dickhead. A-Rod did many things that caused this kind of treatment, but this is true in many ways. Tabloids put A-Rod on blast for things as little as being shirtless in Central Park, but when Steinbrenner and Chad Curtis criticized Jeter, the tabloids defended him. When a scientific study showed Jeter was the worst shortstop in baseball, the New York Post called it, quote, junk science. When A-Rod broke the rules by slapping the ball out of Bronson Arroyo's glove, Trot Nixon called him a clown. Kevin Millar said it proved A-Rod wasn't a true Yankee, and Curt Schilling said, quote, Jeter would never do that. But Jeter did do something pretty close. In 2010, Derek Jeter pretended to get hit by a pitch in a playoff game. He was awarded first base and admitted to doing it after the game. Joe Madden, the opposing manager, said, quote, I thought Jeter did a great job. I applaud it. This is against the rules, and if A-Rod did it, it would have been a way bigger deal. Obviously, it's not identical to trying to slap the ball out of a player's glove, but the point is, Jeter's reputation was so good, he could pretty much get away with murder. The US Air Force once made a public apology to Jeter because someone in the Air Force posted a picture of his citation he gave him. In 2001, a Yankees player was immediately released after he stole a glove out of Jeter's locker. He stole the glove so he could make $2,500 selling it. It ended up costing him $800,000 in salary. His name was
To be fair, if you're stealing from your teammates' locker, you should be gone anyway, regardless.
Ruben Rivera. He was the Yankees' former #1 prospect and cousin of Mariano Rivera, but since it was Jeter's glove, he committed the ultimate sin and was immediately released. Jeter deserves a ton of this treatment. He ranks 6th all-time for WAR amongst shortstops. He was never once ejected from a game, never did steroids in an era when everybody did steroids. They did every single hot celebrity and not one of them had a bad thing to say about him, and according to the New York Post, when women would spend the night at Derek Jeter's apartment, he would give them a gift basket with autographed Yankees gear and gift cards when they left.
He's
Derek
that
Jeter
guy.
was a gentleman and the biggest celebrity in baseball. He should be respected for this, and he was. However, this led to him earning a ton of accolades he really didn't deserve, and in the second half of his career, people started calling him out for it. In 2008, players voted him the most overrated player in baseball. In 2011, players voted him the 3rd most overrated player in baseball. In 2010, he had the worst year of his career, but was still voted to be an All-Star Game starter, while according to WAR was only the 6th best shortstop in the American League. In 2011, he was selected to be an All-Star while being the 10th best shortstop in the American League, and in 2012, he was selected to be an All-Star while being only the 7th best shortstop in the American League. Jeter reportedly requested a long-term deal from the Yankees and asked his general manager, quote, "Who else would you rather have at shortstop?" Brian Cashman responded by naming 4 shortstops before he was interrupted and asked to stop. In 2012, after getting injured in the playoffs, the New York Post called him Derek Eater when a picture showed him looking severely overweight. But by far, the most damaging thing to happen to Derek Jeter's legacy was the advancement of defensive metrics. This first started in 2008 when a study presented at the American Advancement of Science claimed Derek Jeter was the worst shortstop in baseball. At the time, people thought this was insane because he was perceived as one of the best shortstops in baseball, largely based on plays like this.
Yo!
He made this iconic jump throw in 1998, which
That was
basically became
sick.
his trademark. In 2004, he jumped face first into the stands to catch a foul ball with the game on the line against the Red Sox. He immediately got 7 stitches, but played the next day. And in 2001, he made one of the most clutch plays in history. In the 8th inning of the ALDS, the Yankees were an inch away from losing the lead, but Derek Jeter came out of nowhere, backed up a bad throw, and saved the run that would have put them down 3-0 in the series. Instead, they went on to win the game in extra innings and won the series. Derek Jeter won 5 Gold Gloves. He did not deserve any of them. He won the Gold Glove in 2004 while being the 3rd worst shortstop in baseball, won it in 2005 and 2006 while being the 2nd worst shortstop in baseball, and won it back-to-back in 2009 2010. During those years, there were 11 shortstops who were better than him. This is all based on a stat called defensive runs.
This is what's crazy about American sports. It's so stat heavy. It's crazy how stat heavy pretty much all American sports are. Baseball seems to be the most intense one. We have it in football, but not really. You know, it's coming more recently with like assists and like expected goals and stuff. But baseball's insane. The other question I have for you guys that I want you to answer down in the comments: would you rather be overrated or underrated? What would you rather be? You might initially think underrated, but my man's got 5 Golden Gloves. If you're underrated, you don't get that. You know what I mean? What would you rather be, overrated or underrated? I think I'd rather be overrated, you know. Better to be overrated, isn't it?
Saved, which is the most accurate defensive stat we have today. It measures how many runs a player saved or cost their team compared to the average player. Throughout his career,
Even if people
Derek
call
Jeter
you
cost his
overrated, who
team
cares?
162 runs on defense, which is by far the worst in history. He had a range factor, which is not only the worst in baseball history, but twice as bad as the 2nd worst in baseball history.
Yo.
Does this mean Derek Jeter is the worst fielder ever? Kind of. First of all, the stat was created in 2003, so any player before that was not measured. But it's hard to believe there are many players who were ever even given the chance to cost their team this many many runs. It's easier to cost your team runs while playing shortstop because it's one of the hardest positions on the field. Historically, any player with a range as bad as Jeter's would have just been moved to a position that doesn't require as much range. If he would have played third base, he'd probably be considered an average fielder, but the Yankees insisted on keeping him at shortstop until the very last day of his career, allowing him to cost his team more runs than any other player ever. Jeter's defensive metrics are the biggest stain on his playing resume, but nothing has damaged Derek Jeter's image worse than what happened after his career.
What Derek Jeter said is both shameful and a lie.
Oh, what did you say,
2017,
Jeter?
he bought 4% of the Miami Marlins and became the team's CEO, which instantly became a nightmare and resulted in the most bizarre beef in baseball history. He immediately traded their 5 best players to cut payroll and essentially replaced them with a minor league team. This alone made him a villain in Miami, but it gets worse. Jeter and the new management got rid of everyone and everything. They removed the $2.5 million home run statue, got rid of the fish tanks behind home plate, fired the sea creatures, fired Billy the Marlin, he fired executives, reportedly helped the TV announcers get fired former players Andre Dawson, Tony Perez, and Jeff Conine, whose nickname is literally Mr. Marlin. Jeter apparently even asked the team president, David Sampson, who he also fired, to tell these former players they were fired too.
Things are going well.
Why though?
Why you
Why?
laugh? From what I read, things aren't going great.
Jeter and the new ownership even fired a scout who had cancer while he was in the hospital waiting for a kidney transplant. All of this controversy occurred in a span of several months, and fans were so mad that Jeter held a town hall meeting with season ticket holders so he could rebuild their trust. But for some reason, he didn't invite Marlins Man.
Everybody stops me and wants pictures. It's crazy.
Marlins Man became famous for going to the biggest sporting events every year.
Every single person will stop and want their picture with me.
Often accompanied by his team of groupies called the Mermaids.
Their moms are talking about me. Their dads are talking about me.
While wearing a Marlins jersey, making sure his seats are in a spot where the camera can see him.
And do you like that attention?
No. My Twitter is at
Marlins Man.
Marlins, man.
Marlins Man.
Pretty incredible when Marlin Man shows up.
Marlins Man publicly called out the Marlins for not inviting him to the town hall and stated that he would not renew his season tickets because the Marlins wanted to charge him $260 a game while he wanted to pay $250 a game. The Marlins eventually invited Marlins Man to the town hall meeting where he began his speech by telling Derek Jeter, quote, "Do you know who I am?" He then proceeded to suggest the team have Marlin Man Mondays during the season and allow him to throw at the first pitch. He also asked Derek Jeter to ride in his Marlins mobile, and Jeter responded by saying, quote, "I don't know how else to say it, I won't be riding in that." Marlins Man left the meeting extremely unhappy, saying that he was now a free agent and had multiple offers from MLB teams to wear their jerseys instead of the Marlins jerseys. He said that he would not wear the Marlins logo or go to another Marlins home game until they lowered his ticket prices, saying that Derek Jeter is, quote, "a Hall of Fame player and a virgin." The immediate
At the start of the video, that made me laugh more. Now I know he's got some mermaids, as he's calling them, following him around. Fair play to him, as he's calling guys virgins.
backlash Jeter got after buying the Marlins was extreme,
Sounds
but
like
it
a bit
has
of a-
died down. After winning a fan raffle,
narcissist, though,
Marlins
doesn't it?
Man
My
signed a
God.
one-day contract with the Marlins, was given an official press conference, got to shag balls during batting practice, present the lineup card to the umpire, and do an interview during the broadcast. Since then, he's deleted all his mean tweets about Jeter and the Marlins, and they seem to be in good graces. Jeter's time in Miami got off to an awful start, but ultimately, his legacy in Florida will come down to if the Marlins become successful, and who knows if this will ever happen. But no matter what, Jeter will go down as one of the best offensive shortstops ever, a first ballot Hall of Famer, and a baseball icon. Yes, Jeter received a ton of accolades he really didn't deserve, but this is only because he did something nobody else in the world could do. He had a spotless reputation during the steroid era, in the biggest media market in the world, while playing for the most critical and drama-causing owner in baseball, while having
respect him for
Alex
that.
Rodriguez as a teammate. Jeter avoided scandal despite all of this, and this is truly what makes Derek Jeter a legend. Unfortunately for him, it also made him a little overrated.
Okay, so that is the end of the video. You guys let me know down below. Do you think Derek Jeter is overrated? Like I said, you'd rather be overrated than underrated, wouldn't you? So you can't blame him for it. You know, he's been given those awards. People were giving him more props than maybe he deserved. It's not his fault. It's not his fault at all. My man kept a flawless record there. You know, he's done his job very well. You let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. I'll see you for the next ones, guys. Take it easy. Peace.